What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to The Order. To say I'm excited for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 would be, an understatement. I mean, this was me Halloween circa 1996, people. I'm kind of the target audience here. Arguably the biggest title to hit the PS5 to date, there's a lot of anticipation for this one, especially given the success and acclaim of its predecessors. In this video, we're going to go over all the basic info you need to know to get ready for the next exciting chapter in the story of Peter Parker and Miles Morales, and everything you can expect in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. If you've been hiding under a rock, like I'm talking a really big rock here, and have no idea what to expect from the game, this is the video for you. If you're new to The Order, be sure to subscribe to the channel as we begin our coverage of Spider-Man 2. If you're a fan of Marvel games, I've also got a ton of videos on last year's Marvel's Midnight Suns, still hoping we get a season 2 for that game. Alright, with that aside, let's dive into Spider-Man 2. Oh, and this video will contain no spoilers or leaks regarding the game's story. First things first, let's talk about where we've been. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is the sequel to not one, but two games, 2018's Spider-Man on the PS4 and the 2020 follow-up Miles Morales Spider-Man on the PS4 and PS5. For my money, the first Spider-Man is as close to a perfect game as you're gonna get. I really do believe that. Everything about it just works. The story is a perfect representation of Spider-Man as a character. It's well written, well acted, emotional, impactful, with great twists on classic Spider-Man villains and ideas. It feels wholly familiar, yet distinctively fresh, everything you could want out of a modern Spider-Man story. The game looks incredible. Open world New York is a joy to explore. The web swinging, oh sweet Jesus, the web swinging feels so sublime. The combat is kinetic, with all the various web abilities and suit abilities coming together to form a perfect ballet of action. While I could probably do without some of the stealth missions thrown in, looking at you, Metal Gear MJ, they do provide a nice change of pace to the gameplay that keeps things fresh throughout the experience. This game truly is peak superhero gaming, rivaling or even surpassing the Batman Arkham games for me. 2 years later, we got a follow-up in Miles Morales Spider-Man, which became a launch title for the PS5. The scope and scale of Miles Morales reminds me a lot of Borderlands the pre-sequel, a game that came out shortly after the highly acclaimed Borderlands 2, and feels less like a completely fleshed out new title and more like a robust DLC package. That being said, the Miles game is more or less solid. It continues where the previous Spider-Man left off, with Miles adjusting to his newfound powers and dealing with the pressures of following in the footsteps of his mentor Peter. The game packs a lot of the same emotional punches and twists and turns as its predecessor, and it does a great job of fleshing out Miles as a character and the cast around him, allowing him to stand out as his own man, or Spider-Man, including the introduction of his Venom powers, which add a new nice wrinkle to combat. Both games ended on a similar story beat, the reveal that Harry Osborn, Peter's lifelong best friend and son of Norman Osborn, is being held in a medical tank filled with a mysterious green liquid and an even more mysterious black substance, aka the symbiote, clinging to his body. Now that we know where we've been, let's talk about where we're going as we head into Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Much of the core combat experience remains intact, with an emphasis on quick dodges via the spider sense indicators and managing your focus meter, which is built up through attacks and can be spent on both finishers or for healing. Holding down L1 will give you quick access to Spider-Man's individual skills and abilities, while R1 gives you access to your equipped gadgets. There are also new powers and abilities for Peter via his interaction with the symbiote that will allow him to aggressively take down packs of enemies at a time. Quick time events, a staple of the first two games, are also back during more cinematic moments in combat. Combat has new layers of depth thanks to the addition of the new suit tech mechanic and a much bigger crafting system than the first two games. You now have 4 ways of customizing the playstyle of each character and multiple currencies to collect through missions and exploration to unlock those upgrades. Like most sequels, everything about Spider-Man 2 is bigger and bolder than its predecessors. The already impressive New York City map from the first game has been doubled in size thanks to the inclusion of 2 new zones, Brooklyn and Queens. This isn't the first time we've actually seen Queens in a Spider-Man game either, as it previously appeared as a playable area in the 2005 game Ultimate Spider-Man. In traversing this much larger map, the iconic web swinging is back, including the trick system, as well as the new glider-like web wings, which when used to enter the game's new wind tunnel system, will allow you to soar through the city even faster than before. Visually, the game features multiple frame rate options up to 60 frames per second, an improvement from the locked-in 30 FPS of the original title, and a huge sigh of relief after the muddied visual performance of last year's big comic book title Gotham Knights. Other updates include ray tracing, improved textures, and upgraded character models. And maybe most notably, the PS5's SSD will allow for minimal loading times, allowing for more seamless transitions as you swap between Peter and Miles across the city. Speaking of which, arguably the biggest gameplay hook this time around is your ability to control both Spider-Men, Peter and Miles. It's an excellent new dimension to the overall experience, as you'll need to master the distinct powers of both characters to navigate different challenges and combat situations. Different missions, story missions, and side quests will require one or either of the two heroes, so learning how they both play effectively is imperative. Many familiar faces from the first two games return to round out the game's cast, including Mary Jane and Norman Osborn, as well as new faces like Kraven the Hunter, who figures to be the central antagonist throughout the narrative, much like Mr. Negative in the first game, who also returns. Kraven, of course, isn't the only villain you'll have to tangle with. Kurt Connors, who appeared briefly at the end of Miles Morales, will be evolving into the Lizard. And of course, there's Venom. While the identity of Venom is not entirely public knowledge pre-launch, we do know it won't be Eddie Brock, so expect a slightly different spin on the iconic villain's story this time around. There is a lot, and I mean a lot more to dive into with Marvel Spider-Man 2, and I can't wait to get into all of it more with you guys over the weeks and months ahead. And much like I did for Midnight Suns, expect plenty of deep dives, thoughts, breakdowns, and more. If you found this video helpful or insightful at all, be sure to hit it with a like and subscribe to the channel for more Spider-Man 2 coverage and insight. Until next time, have a good one.